The shortage of donors is the #1 problem in transplantation today. The MOTTEP effort is a consequence of a recognition that minority population is in greater need than any other ethnic group, and therefore we need to have a focused, targeted program, and this is what MOTTEP has been all about.
I discovered that nationwide there were more than 33,000 patients waiting for an organ. And as of May 2000, there were more than 68,000 people on the waiting list. African Americans make up approximately 13 to 15% of the national population, and yet comprise more than half of those waiting for kidneys. Why the disparity?
I was driving along yesterday and I saw some children playing in the playground, and it made me think about the fact that one of the first lessons we teach our children is to share. And I think that's very valuable when you look at organ donation, is because that's the ultimate sharing your life, sharing your person with someone else.
Unfortunately, African American people are disproportionately affected by this whole scourge of failing organs, be it kidney, be it liver problems, be it heart problems. We are really affected by this, and we are the ones who should be giving.
And if you don't have the next of kin's permission, you can't be a donor. So it is critical, therefore, to have family discussion. Critical may not be enough. It is mandatory to have family discussion.
There's 2 parts to becoming an organ donor. The first step is to sign a donor card. The second step is to really have a discussion with your family and let your family know what your decision is. Because when you talk to your family and you come up with a decision to become an organ donor, then they know that's the best thing that you want to do for yourself and to help other people.
We identified the 5 reasons African Americans are reluctant to become donors. First, a lack of information and awareness.
How do we get the word out to our people that this is a health crisis for us, and we have to be concerned and we have to be aware of it?
It doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are, but if you're able to listen and learn. So it's really good to talk to children because they're not learning stage. It's another form of a class, like another class, another thing that you're learning. It's an extension of health. And when you start talking about the health in the body, and you must put organ and tissue donation in there as well.
Second, religious myths and misperceptions.
Some people still feel that they have to have all of their organs intact for when that great getting up morning comes, and they're concerned that if they don't have their kidney, if they don't have their liver, if they don't have their heart, that something's going to be wrong when they get to heaven. And my explanation to them is that you really don't want this old feeble body once you get into heaven. You know, no one wants to have arthritis, no one wants to have kidney problems.
Third, a basic distrust of the healthcare providers. Fourth, a basic fear that if I sign a donor card and I go to the hospital, they're more likely to declare me dead prematurely.
Everything possible was being done to save his life. Doctors and surgeons are not there to play God and determine who lives and who dies. They're there to save lives.
All doctors and hospitals, they're there to save your life, not to take your life away to give life to someone else. So all doctors will do everything in their power to save your life, and then when all those efforts have failed and you have died, then that's when organ donation comes up.
And fifthly, racism, a fear that if I sign a donor card and I'm black, all my organs will go to whites.
A lot of African American people think race is an issue, but it is not. It's the most critical person that needs that organ.
When the decision is made for organ donation, you really don't know the race of the person, you don't know the sex. The only thing that you know is you're making a decision to help someone.
The perception in the general public is that you need a lot of money to receive a transplant. If you're rich, you get put to the top of the list. And if you really think about it, you can have all the money in the world, but if the organ does not match you, does not fit you, the doctors in the hospitals, they're not going to give you that organ anyway. They want to give that organ to the best possible match that there is. So sometimes when you hear about the great famous people who receive transplants, it's not because they have a lot of money, it's just because they're a little famous. And people want to hear about famous people. There are common people who receive transplants in 1 day, 2 days, or a week or less.
I'd gotten pretty sick, and a young lady in the congregation didn't know her very well. Just came to me one day and she says, well, what is it that I can do to help?
He was getting sicker and sicker, And right then at that moment, the Lord just told me out of the clear blue to give him my kidney.
I gave the number to the people at Howard University Hospital, not really expecting anything to come of it. And within 2 weeks, she called me back and said, well, when do you want to have the surgery?
The process was pretty much for me, I arrived at the hospital the day of the surgery, I guess about 5:30 a.m. The surgery took about 4 to 5 hours. The next morning, the doctors did encourage me to get up to walk around, and I believe in about 4 days I went home. I wasn't given any restrictions. They did tell me to try to maintain a healthy diet and walk, but nothing strenuous, like drink a lot of water or do anything out of the norm. I feel great. I feel just as good as new.
I had been given a death sentence when I was told that I had developed dilated cardiomyopathy, that my heart was enlarging, and that it would only be a matter of time before I died. My heart came from a 25-year-old male who had been declared brain dead, and his family made the decision to give others an opportunity to live.
I know he was dead, but I was just putting in my mind, maybe he'll come through. But when I see him,
they are showing that love for their fellow human being. And they're not getting anything for it. They're not being paid. But I think the greatest thing, that the knowledge that they can have, is that the person who has received their organ is doing well.
he didn't thought he'd live to see his daughter get to 5. His daughter 5, he back working, and they having a good time. You know that it got me so, I was so happy to know that my baby got 5 people continuing living.
And he suggested I go to this Achilles track club. I called them up, and the person there on the phone, his name was Dick Trom, and he said to me, you know, if you work hard enough and you train hard enough, that you would be able to do the New York City Marathon. I thought he was crazy. Totally crazy. How is a person that's had a heart transplant ever going to do a New York City Marathon? 15 months after my heart transplant to the date, I competed in my first of 3 New York City marathons.
I met his sister, I met his son, I met his father. And we were just one big happy family that day.
It's not that easy because everybody deal with it differently. The majority of the people that I have spoken with did donate once they heard my story.
When a beeper goes off and the patient knows that they have this wonderful second chance at life, words are hard to find to describe the ecstasy and the joy. Because what you're talking about is a dream come true.
How do you say thank you? She has lost a son. Someone she bore for 9 months. How do you say thank you? So many times I wish he was still alive, so that his kids could know their father. How do you say thank you?
I thank you for all that you've done thus far. Thank you for all that you've done thus far. Thank you for being the God that you are. Being the God that you are. Thank you for food on my table. 'Cause I know you're able. Lord, I wanna say thank you. Come on.
Hey, yeah. If I never take another walk, if I never have another talk, if I never hear another voice, make another choice, I wanna say thank you, Lord.